everybody, it's Storyteller time. So today I thought it'd be kind of fun to share one of my cool experiences that I've had, and I want you to know that I'm sharing these stories not to say, look what I can do, but to remind you, look, if you pay attention, you can receive the same way that I am. So this particular story dates back to pre-country shutdown, dis-ease day. About a couple weeks prior, actually. And I lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico at the time, and I still had my home in Tucson, Arizona, and that was a vacation rental. So whenever it was open, I would go there. So it was open for 2 weeks, and I decided to go. And as I was leaving, I lived in a condo, and I locked the door, and I started walking down the hallway to go outside to get to my car when I had this feeling that I was to go back and check the door to make sure it was locked. And I thought, well, that's crazy. I know it's locked, but I was like, no, you've got to go check and make sure that it's locked. So I went back and checked, and sure enough, it was locked. So then I proceeded out the door, went to my vacation. And I do want to say at one point towards the end of my vacation, I had this situation happen, a text that came through that made me feel uneasy, like something's up. Someone's in my house, and I was pretty sure I knew who it was. So there was nothing I could do, though. I was on vacation. I knew I was going to be going home in a few days. So anyway, on the way home, back to Santa Fe, right outside of the city limits, a raven was on top of a stop sign, and it was flapping its wings and going in a circle, which is not a common behavior for a raven to do. For me, that was like a warning. That's what it felt like to me. It was like, okay, this is a warning. Something's up. And so I decided to slow down, pay attention, be ready. You don't always know what these messages are about. So my first thought was maybe there's an accident up ahead. Maybe something's about to cross the road, some wild animal or whatever. Like, pay attention was the message that I got from that. So, but I got home, and it was incidental. The rest of the drive was incidental. And when I got to my condo, I went to open the door, put the key in the door, and I heard, "Stop. Don't put the key in the door, just open the door." And I was like, what? And I heard it again, and I was like, oh, hell no, please no. And sure enough, my door was unlocked. And remind you, at the beginning, I was guided to check the door again to make sure that it was locked, so I knew that it was locked. So I went in there, and I'm one of those people, having a vacation rental and being an energy worker, I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm very picky about how the house looks when I leave, because like, well, what if there's a fire? What if there's an emergency? It has to be clean. That's just how I am. So the house, the condo was clean. And just to kind of add a little piece to that is I always three-fold my kitchen towels and hang them neatly on the stove, the door hanger on the stove. And at first I couldn't tell if anybody was in there, but then I noticed the sink was filled with water and the towel was disheveled. It was not hanging nicely on the stove. Just the fact that there was water in the sink. I mean, I've been gone 2 weeks. There's no way. And I always wipe out the sink before I go too, because the water stains. I mean, that's just how I am. And so I knew someone was in my house, and they were in my house that day, or my apartment, condo, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, I got mad. I got really mad, and I'm pretty sure I knew who did it. There really wasn't anything that I could do. I didn't understand the why at the time. But then fast forward a few weeks later, and the whole country was shut down, and I also lost all of my bookings at my house, at my vacation rental. So I thought, well, this is crazy. I'm not staying here. I'm going to go stay at my house. So the blessing of this was I was able to get out of my lease on short notice, like the end of the month. I just, especially because somebody broke into my house and my landlord knew it, and that person also had a pretty good idea who it was too. So I just sent him a message and said, look, I will have the house clean and spotless before I leave, but I will be gone. Giving you my 2 weeks notice. You're supposed to give a month They didn't argue. They didn't come after me for more. So that's the blessing. You know, it may not have felt like a blessing at the time. I mean, like anybody, when you know someone's been in your home, you feel, well, it's vandalism. You feel violated. You feel violated. I don't care whether you're a girl or a guy, you just feel violated. But the blessing was I was able to get out of my lease and get back to my house where I really wanted to be during that time. You know, I had a swimming pool, I had a view. I mean, what greater place to wait out the craziness that was happening in the world, right? So, you know, like I said, sometimes you think that whatever is happening to you is like, it could be, you know, it's a bad thing, but when it all plays out and you look back at the bigger picture of how everything lined out, look at the blessing. Like, I didn't want to stay there another whole month. You know, it would have been 6 weeks if I would have followed the contractual agreement. But because of this, I was able to get out sooner. So that's how it works. You know, just pay attention, listen to that intuition, listen to the voices in your head. You know, is it your ego or is it a message? And I've really gotten good at listening, paying attention. You know, normally I would have just, like anybody, we just push forward. I'm not going to go back and check the door. I know I locked it. But I got very strongly I was to do that. And thank God I did, because I knew that I had done that, and it allowed me to go, you know what? You didn't accidentally leave the door open. You knew you locked it. And so somebody else had a key, and it wasn't anybody I gave a key to, but they got in there, and pretty sure they were just hanging out. I know a few things were missing, but it is what it is. The blessing is I got to stay in my beautiful Tucson home for a couple more years during all the crazy crap that was happening in the world, and what better place to really to hide out, right? So anyway, just sharing that story, and you know, pay attention. The birds are great messengers, you guys. They are like the best messengers. So if you're seeing something acting a little erratically, or if a bird acting a little erratically, or an animal, or they're crossing, you know, say you have a prayer and you ask for a message, and then, you know, a raven or a crow or whatever flies over your head and starts cawing. You know, and some people think crows mean negativity and darkness, and that's not true. With every message that comes through, pay attention to the energy of it. What are you feeling in that moment? You know, it's so easy to go into fear or judgment. It's not always that. You know, the crows represent the laws of the universe. So is that the message that's coming through for you? You know, is there something that is not in alignment with the laws of the universe? And we'd have to get a little more deeper into that. But anyway, just, you know, the first time I had experience with a raven, I was taught that ravens meant death. And so it scared me. But then I was like, there was somebody that I was reading, and they had a lot of raven energy. And so that's where I went. And it was when I was learning and experiencing it for the first time. But what was weird, it was like, but I didn't feel darkness. I didn't really feel like he was going to die. I didn't feel, it was confusing to me. And it was at that time that I learned that, you know, you can't go by what fear-based information is out there. You know, there's a lot of good books out there on animal spirits, and, you know, if something's crossing your path, look it up, read the information. Whatever is resonating with you, follow it. I mean, that's how I learned. I started with cards, angel cards, animal spirit. Actually, my first deck of cards was animal spirit cards. And they're great communicators, the animals. And if you really pay attention, they're going to bring you a message. So anyway, so that's my story for this week. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know if you thought it was a cool story or not, or you've had any similar experiences. Like, comment, and share if you enjoyed it. Yeah, until next time.